one of the lenses that I used in 2024 that I really came to appreciate, the Viltrox 75mm F1.2 Pro lens. That lens is just incredible in terms of giving you the best quality image that you find with a prime lens. This lens is able to give you the quality that is just same as using a full frame lens and camera body. In this video, we are looking at the Viltrox 75mm F1.2 Pro lens and why I think that it's the best lens for the APS system. I use this lens for the Sony ZV-10 and I use it in several situations, especially shooting portraits and using it to record videos at a sports event. I don't think that was an ideal scenario to use this lens, but I really wanted to test out this lens and to make sure that this lens works in diverse conditions. My name is ABEiiKU. If you like this channel, can you subscribe and let's zoom into it. Let's look at the build quality on this Viltrox 75mm F1.2 Pro lens. This lens is metallic build, has all its body being metallic, and you can see that this lens is just really premium. The build quality on this lens can never be underestimated. This has far greater build quality than some of the Canon lenses that I've even used, even way expensive than this. Come to quality, you cannot go wrong with it. The durability of this lens is just great, an A-grade lens with premium quality build. It also has a weight of 670 grams. It is not too heavy and not too light. It just sits in between there. When we are using a camera body like the Sony ZV-10, which is very small and compact and lightweight, you can still feel that this lens exerts a lot of pressure and weight upon that kind of body. And that's one of the things that I really noticed the moment I placed this lens on this kind of camera body. I realized that it was way heavier than I thought it would be. Considering that I also use the Tamron 70mm f2.8 lens on this same body, I realized that that was way lighter when we were using the Tamron lens on the Sony ZV-10 compared to the Viltrox lens. But also you can realize that the Viltrox lens is an f1.2 aperture, and so it means that a lot of elements would have to go into this lens to produce the quality and the bokalicious quality that you need for this kind of lens. Let's also look at the optics and then the IQ, the image quality on this lens. It has 16 elements in 11 groups, and it also has 4 ED and 2 aspheric elements that you can find within this lens. So that's when we look at the front part of the lens itself, we see that it is really big. See that it has densely a lot of things in it. It also uses a lot of nano coatings on it that helps to prevent glares. The 16 elements in 11 groups gives you amount of bokeh that you need. I mean, the bokeh, the quality, the sharpness, the details on this lens is one that I've never seen in all my lenses that I've used so far, because that I cannot afford to buy really expensive Canon glasses, and so I use the f4 lens, I use the f1.8 STM lens, I use the f2.8 STM lens. Those are really budget lenses. But when I compare to this Viltrox 75mm f1.2 Pro lens, this lens is just way up there, even with the best of Canon lenses. The range of this lens f1.2 all the way to f11, and it has 11 blade aperture, which helps to get a great performance in terms of low light. When I'm using this lens in terms of low light, this is where this lens shines because of the f1.2. You step it down to f1.4, f1.6, f1.8, f2. Those aperture range, they excel in low light situations. And when I was using this lens at a low light situation, especially when I was using it at the night spots, I realized that this lens was just really impressive across the board. One of the things I realized with this lens has to do with the focusing, and then the focusing on this lens uses the STM, that's the stepping motor, and so it wouldn't be as fast as we define with probably maybe other kind of premium glasses technology like Canon, which uses the nano USM technology over there. But this is really fine. One of the flaws that I saw with this in terms of the focusing has to do with my APS-C camera, because I realized that the Sony ZV-10 is not essentially the best for shooting pictures. It is just much more better video-centric kind of camera body, and so when you use this one on it, you are not going to get the best of autofocusing mechanism or speed and accuracy that you really want on this. But once this lens nails on the Sony ZV-10, it nails really well. It nails to the best of the quality that I can ever think of. In most shooting scenarios, I can say that maybe the focusing will just be about 8/10. Scenarios that I put this lens through and the camera body that I was pairing with, that the Sony ZV-10, I think that the focusing on this lens is great but not extremely impressive for my use case. But the image quality out of this is just impeccable. The sharpness, the details, the contrast element on it, I really love it. When you are shooting videos with this lens, you are really going to get great quality out of it. When you pair with the Sony ZV-10, because that is a crop sensor at 1.5 factor, and when you multiply it by this, you are going to get 112mm range. At 112mm range, you are within that medium telephoto range, and so you'll be able to even shoot sports actions and all that with this. And for me, I really love the bokeh that comes out of it. I also like that sometimes I'm able to get some glare out of this lens, especially when we pair with the 77mm filter that I was using. So that's CPL and then VND. When I stacked it on this lens, I was able to get some kind of flares which were golden, which were rainbow-like, and I really like it. Others might think that's a flaw when it comes to this, but I think that sometimes you're also looking for some aesthetics that not many people or photographers or videographers will be able to achieve in their videos and their photos. The filter thread on this is 77mm, and I think that for 77mm filter thread, you can easily find it across several kind of lenses. And so for example, my 24-105 lens has a 77mm filter thread. When I was using the Haider CPL VND filter on it, I was just able to move it and bring it on this kind of lens, and I was able to shoot in bright daylight scenario at a sports event, and that really gave me great image, great optics on this kind of lens. It has a dimension of 80/101mm, and I think that is just really great. Using this lens as your main shooting lens for, let's say, a wedding event, a portrait event, this lens is just great. ZV-10 paired with the Viltrox 75mm F1.2 Pro lens, the image quality out of this lens is just way out there. This is what you pay to get a prime lens, and that's why prime lenses are quite expensive. But for the price of this lens, compared to the quality of the images that you are getting out of this lens is just out there. A bit of subscribers and my channel get monetized, I'll buy an APS-C camera, maybe the A6700 or maybe the A6800, which is purported to come from Sony, and probably pair this lens with it, and I think that is going to give you great images. This lens has an aperture ring on it, so the aperture ring on it can be either declicked or clicked. So when you put it on declick, it means that you are not going to hear any kind of sounds, but when you put on a click, you are going to feel that the sound there are very tactile. They give that kind of feeling, and it really helps you. I didn't use any lens with an aperture ring on it, so this was my first time using a lens that came with an aperture ring, and I really enjoyed it. I think that this aperture ring should come in most of the lenses, especially when you are dealing with fast-paced action that you need to change the aperture control on this lens. You'll be able to easily use it and use it to control it. I really like that kind of feature on this kind of lens. The build quality on this lens is great. The image quality is just remarkable. The bokeh on this lens is really creamy. It makes the lens to even look much more expensive than the price point that it gives you. In 2025, I think that this is one of the best lenses that you need to have in your camera bag, especially if you shoot on the APS system, and especially for those who shoot on Sony APS-C cameras like the Sony ZV-10, Sony a6700, a400, a500, a600. Lens is just one of the best lenses I can have, especially if you are someone who is into videography and you shoot with the Sony Cine line, the FX30, with this kind of lens. You are going to get one of the best qualities. As a Canon person, it's just sad that Canon does not have any means for you to even adapt this lens onto the Canon RF system. Low light performance on this lens is just remarkable. I really like it, and I think this is one of the best lenses out there. My name is ABEiiKU. If you like this video, kindly subscribe to the channel. I'm going to see you in the next video. Peace out.